So a lot's been going on in the world, and I don't care about the world. A lot's been going on in the UK, and we're going to get into it. Welcome to your Millennial Unfiltered Mother podcast, aka your M.U.M podcast. I'm your host, Christiana, and I have a special guest in the building. Well, in my house.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So this is Louanne.
Hi, guys.
A childhood friend.
Way back.
Adult friend as well. We are neighbours. So we wanted to do this episode together because, child, there's a lot going on.
Definitely.
There's a lot going on. So we know what's been going on in the world recently with the whole Sarah Everard story. Have you been following the news about her and stuff?
What's been happening is very sad.
Yeah.
It's deep.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's reality.
And it's open up a wider conversation about it, just about the lengths women have to go through even before, do you know what I mean? You know, we've left the house, when we're going home from a motive, what we just to be on a safe side, when it comes to walking home, the stuff that we have to do, what actually goes through our mind in order to get home safely. Do you have certain things you think of before you sort of leave somewhere to go home if it's late at night?
You know what? I'm going to be totally honest with you. I actually never used to think before when leaving the house. Yeah. It's as I've got older, I've started to be aware more of danger. Yeah. The whole holding the keys in your hands, that's something that I always do, something that I always practice. Yeah. That was only because it's been drummed in to me by my mum. To always have your keys in your hand, just in case, so you can get away quickly to your car or in your house. Mm-hmm. But in terms of having fear, I haven't actually been fearful.
When walking at night? That's good. Do you know what? And the thing is, you shouldn't have to be fearful about walking at night. You shouldn't no one should have to fear being out when it's dark. Do you know what I mean? For me, I guess I've always I don't know, because we're from the South, and the guys that we've grown up to know and the environments that we've grown up to see, they've always been mad. People will call you from the other side of the street, yo, or oi. Do you know what I mean? That was something that used to piss me off all school days. Do you know what I mean? And you would walk just that little bit faster to avoid them, or you would stop to speak to them because you're scared about what the hell they'll do if you ignore them, type of thing. So just out of sheer fear, you're entertaining these idiots.
But do you know what the funniest thing is for me? I didn't realise half of the things that people have been putting out there, I never used to see it as harassment. I just used to see it as it was an everyday thing. Yeah. I never realised how bad it was until people have sat down and said, well, that's a form of harassment.
That's literally, no, don't get me wrong now. School days, anytime a guy would approach me, and even if he was looking, or do you know what? At a point, any guy, was to show me any type of attention, I'd be like, I will be flattered by the sheer attention, because back in the days, being darker skinned, being Nigerian, these were the things that will work against you. These were the things that you were made to feel like was a bad thing back in our school days. So if a guy was to show me attention instead of the mixed race girls that of the world, the white girls of the world, if a guy was to show me attention, I'd be like, what? And I won't let that opportunity just pass me by. No matter how forward he was being, because you know some of these guys will just immediately put their hands around your waist as if to say they've known you for time, or they will grab your bum. Do you know what I mean? I'll be like, oh, do you know what I mean? He's interested in me, and you know that is literally sexual harassment that you know we've been dealing with since school days, and you didn't even know. Like you didn't even know. Obviously, we've gotten older now, and we realise now that is not. I'm not about to be disrespected by this complete stranger. So. Yeah, I feel like we've just been immune to what actually is sexual harassment for so long, and I don't really know what the turning point was, or where I realized that actually this is actually like like we need to start calling it what it is, harassment. Because if I call a guy out now for catcalling me, or for oiling me, or for shouting across the street, and I say to him, you know, can you not harass me? It will look at me like, here she goes using certain words to paint me out to be something that I'm not. No, but you need to know what you're doing is harassment.
So for me, this whole turning point, I'm trying to work out, yes, when this happened, but in the same light, I'm trying to work out if it's been implemented into us from a feminist viewpoint. Because like I'm saying, to me, I don't personally see someone calling over to you or approaching you, trying to get your number and whatever not as harassment to me. Personally,
that's just chirping.
My personal views on harassment is, I'll tell you something. Many years ago when I was going to work experience with school, was it year 10? Something like that, you go to work experience.
Yeah.
I remember I was doing work experience in a nursery in Peckham. And I remember getting on a bus. It was a really hot summer's day, and I'm sure work experience used to be in the summer, right? I'm sure it did.
I think so.
Or before. Well, anyway, it was really hot. I remember everything I had on. I remember I had the shoelaces in my hair with the bubbles. You know the Foot Locker shoelaces when you used to tie it in your hair, and all of the lollipops. You know that whole look. I looked like a child, basically. Yeah. I remember I had my trainers on, my lycra, black trousers. I just looked innocent, like a child. I remember I got on the bus. I think it was like a 171 or something like that. I remember sat at the back of the bus, because you know in them days you used to sit at the back of the bus, on the top deck. Sat at the back of the bus. And I remember I was just minding my own business, looking at the window, and then I remember I felt something. You know when you feel like a presence, like you can feel someone watching you or doing something. So I've looked at the side of my eye and turned, and I've just seen this big black man. He had his willy out on the bus and he was wanking at me.
No.
And them days, I'd never had sex before. I've never even seen a dick.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
no.
I'm trembling, literally. Like, I'm like, what do I do? I was so scared. Do I call out for help? I was like, I've no one geared me up to prepare myself for something like that. My mum or no one around me ever spoke of something like that, this could possibly happen to you. Do you know what I mean? So I wasn't prepared to be introduced to something like that.
Yeah, that is insane.
I mean, he was going at it hardcore, and literally he was at this, like, he was proper into it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what am I going to do?
What?
So,
what? So at year 10, how old are you? Like 15? You're like 15, innit?
Not even 15. Ain't you like no,
like 14,
yeah,
15?
14 I was.
Nah, man.
And it was like, it was just like, you know when something just sticks with you for life, and you will never get that moment out of your head. You can never take that moment back. That moment's been taken away from you. Setting out to go to my work experience, being so innocent, being so young, looking like a child. Remember, I've explained to you, I had the shoelaces in my hair and I looked this way. It's not like I look like how girls look nowadays with the long weave down their back. And
you don't know how old they are, mate.
And you don't know how I actually look like a 14-year-old child, you know, in them days. And he was a big man. He had to be in his 30s, 40s, or he could even have been in his 50s.
Yeah.
I was horrified. Anyway, the only thing I could do is I got up slowly and I started walking like on the top deck. I didn't let anybody know, and it was busy. And I didn't let nobody know what went on. And I remember I came off the bus 3 stops before
you was meant to get off,
where I was meant to get off. And I started running and running and running until I reached that nursery that I was doing my work experience at. And I remember for the whole day, I kept it quiet. I didn't tell anybody what happened.
Did you ever tell anyone?
I felt embarrassed.
Yeah.
I felt really, really embarrassed. I felt, I don't know. I didn't know how to feel. I felt like I done something wrong.
Yeah.
Why he done what he done, sort of thing.
When did you actually ever tell anyone what happened?
Okay. So the first time I ever told someone that happened was my flatmate at the time. And my flatmate at the time, he was a guy. And I think we were high off at the time. And I just came out with it. And that was at the age of probably about 23.
No.
I kept this a secret for so long. So you know when people say, when something happens to you, like when you've been sexually abused or something, and people always say, why has it taken someone so long to report
which I annoy, which I'm annoyed about. Like,
yeah, why?
You people can't question.
People always question that, but you never understand something until you actually go through it.
Yeah.
So now I understand, because like I said, it took so long from the age of, remember, he didn't touch me. He just done what he done. He exposed himself in front of me.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was in the wrong.
Yeah.
So I kept it a secret.
That is
all that time
until
I finally told my flatmate when I was like 23, and he just laughed about it, sort of thing. It weren't he just found it funny, yeah. And he was like, "So why did you not tell anyone?" And I'm like, I don't know why I never told anyone, but I'm telling you, ain't I?
But I mean, how do you? Especially when you don't know what that is at such a young age. You don't actually know what just... You know when you don't just know what just happened?
Yeah.
How do you explain what just happened?
Yeah.
Because you don't know yourself.
I don't know
You were just on the bus on the way to work experience, and someone was just messing around with themselves on the bus. Like, what words do you use? Like...
Yeah.
It's completely understandable. And you know what? That's probably something that I would have suppressed in my mind. Mm-hmm. You know, I would have been confused for a while, but because I wouldn't have known how to verbalize it, it's probably something that I would have just suppressed and put somewhere, locked away in the back of my mind, and it would have come out if I was high on weed or something like that. Because you know, now that you're older, you actually realize what happened. Yeah. You know, and that is actually abuse.
A form of harassment and abuse. That's some innocence that was taken away from me. That's how I feel. So that's why I'm saying
so if it's not that extreme, it's not harassment.
No, that's why I'm saying to you, now that people are now highlighting things like, oh, a guy catcalling to you, they're saying that's harassment. To me personally, I don't feel that, and that's harassment. I don't want to upset people, but this is my views. No.
I completely understand that. I completely understand.
And I'm not trying to defend men and trying to say what they're doing is right by calling out at the side of their car and whistling and saying, "You're right, babe," and, you know, whatever not. But however, I think sometimes things are seen from a feminist point of view. Yeah. And I think once people put something out there, I think everybody goes along with it and thinks, oh, you know, when they didn't think that beforehand. Yeah. So you know what I'm trying
I completely understand where you're coming from, and this is the thing, because for me it wasn't until later on in life when I started calling, you know, catcalling and sort of drawing me out when I'm just on my way to live my life type of thing as harassment. Because look, if I'm trying to get from A to B and then someone finds it appropriate to approach me in a disrespectful way, catcalling is disrespectful, and try to stop me on my tracks when I'm clearly on my way somewhere, or I'm clearly doing something, or if I'm in the car and, they're making certain eyes and looks at me that is blatantly sexually suggestive. It did get to a point when it made me feel uncomfortable. It made me feel uncomfortable because all I'm doing is I'm going to work, I'm going to school, I'm going to college, all I'm doing is just living my life. I'm trying to get from A to B. Do you know what I mean? Like, and especially when I feel like I haven't invited this type of attention, but then you're giving me this type of attention, it's a bit, it literally makes me feel uncomfortable. And that's why, and there's times where if I'm being approached and stuff like that, and I'm literally like, leave me alone, or, I'm clearly not receptive to your advances. Like, you just have to take that and leave me the hell alone. Do you know what I mean? But if you're persistent, you're harassing me at this point. Definitely. We're gonna have to start calling it what it is, because some guys can come off intimidating, and women do as well. But I'm sorry, some big old men come off intimidating. And when you're not taking no for an answer, when you're not taking the fact that someone is ignoring your catcalling as an answer, and you persist, it is harassment.
Definitely.
And for me, that is what it is. When you're doing these things at night, it's dark, it's quiet, there's not much people around. I don't care how attractive you find me or how attractive you find this woman. This isn't the time. This ain't the time to chirps. Yeah? This is night. This is someone who looks like they're on their way somewhere or whatever, or someone who's standing at a bus stop, someone who's standing at a train station by themselves. This isn't the time for that. Yeah? I'm sorry. It just ain't. And if they're not looking in your direction, they've got their back turned to you, they're clearly not inviting that type of attention. Yeah. Don't give it.
See, the way how you've put it, I understand.
Yeah.
When you've gone deeper, when you've delved deeper into it and you've explained, So you've just reminded me of something that also happened to me. I remember 2 years ago, when was Carnival last? Weren't last year, the year before?
2019.
I think probably Carnival 2018, that bank holiday weekend. I remember I got off the train at London Bridge. Okay. And, London Bridge is not far from here to walk, innit, when you just walk straight.
Yeah.
So I started walking and this black guy has approached me. And, he's talking and trying to get my number. When I've really checked it, he's actually followed me all the way home. Yeah? All the way home. So when I've got right at the top of my road, I'm like, I can't let this guy know where I live because I don't want to give you my number, but you're pressuring me into it, okay? And I'm at the top of the road. I'm like, what do I do? It's empty. There's no one down here. Literally, I've walked away, and there's bushes, and I'm thinking loads of things then.
Yeah.
Then I see a guy that lives around the area. And he's like, you're right, Louanne. And I'm like, yeah. Giving him the eyes like, please help me.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Like, he's just walked off.
Oh.
And I'm like, you're looking in my face, asking me, am I all right? I'm looking at you and I'm like, with my eyes wide open, like, help me, sort of thing. And you've walked off. In the end, I had to give my number to him.
Yeah.
But that was out of the fact because I didn't want him to know where I live. I was worried and I just wanted him to go away.
Yeah.
So now I understand. So when you've broke it down to me, the way you've spoken about harassment, that is a form of harassment.
Following someone, walking that long of a distance after, I can only imagine how many times you were just like, nah, you know what I mean? Yeah. And the fact that sometimes we have to lie and say, so I got a man.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't have to tell you. I shouldn't have to lie and be like, I got a man, just so just so you leave me alone. A lot of the time that don't even work. They're like, and can't we be friends? Yeah. And it's like, what? Yeah. What actually do I have to do for you to leave me alone? Because there's times where, do you know what? I've just given my number and I've just thought to myself, take his number and save it as don't pick. Save it as don't answer. Save it as, but why should I have to deal with the aftermath of you not leaving me alone, with you now calling me? It's like, people, a lot of times, because, with Nigerian guys as well, especially, that I've had to deal with, so a lot of them just they're not used to hearing no from like women. Like, it's just like, no. Do you know what I mean? Like, or they're too persistent. They're so touchy-feely. And it's like, that has always driven me mad, because it's like, how dare you touch me? Like, why are you like, what the hell is this? And it's them growing up watching these music videos where they're pursuing these women in the music video and they're doing the most. They're grabbing them by their hand, they're putting the hand around them. It's a music video. This isn't how you try to speak to women. Like, it literally just winds. It winds me up. It did not wind me up back in the day. I have to admit it. In fact, I liked the attention, but I grew up, and it's only because of, how dangerous it started to feel. Like, for me, after my surgery on my neck, for a whole year, I was whispering. I could not do anything but whisper. And I was living in Brixton at the time. Like, now how Brixton's like. I couldn't go to the shop to get a pint of milk or to the market to get some plantain, for nothing, without being approached, without someone making some kind of comments, without someone just drawing me out, drawing attention to me. And that, I remember that time because I felt the most scared, especially about going out at night, because all I could do was whisper. If someone approached me and realised that I could not speak any louder than what I was doing, do you know what kind of madness can be running through their mind? Like, they can literally find out where I live just from watching me, and know that they could grab me at any time and I won't be able to scream or anything like that, because I literally have not got the ability to. So with that, so for the majority of the time where I was living in Brixton, I wasn't even going out. If I was going out, it was early doors and be back by 4, because I'm not trying to be out at night. And if I was going out at night, I have to be with someone with a voice, or be going in cabs, like, or driving, like, and parking literally right next to it, because I wasn't about to take that risk that whole time that I did not have a voice. Do you know what I mean? So, look. It is scary for women. It is scary for women out there, because this is now a whole movement. If we go back to the whole Sarah Everard story. So I'll briefly say she was walking from her friend's house home, and she took a well-lit route home. She wore bright as hell colours. She was on the phone. Do you know what I mean? She did everything right for her to get from destination A to B safely. But this this police officer has now, at this present moment, been charged for her murder. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how he managed to do it. It was by, God's grace, and by doorbell cameras, CCTV cameras on buses and stuff like that the police were actually able to find out that it was him. They found her body, identified it was her, arrest this serving police officer for her kidnap and murder. And I can't even begin to even express how crazy this makes me feel. Like, the fact that it was a Fed that did this, I don't know, he could have flashed his badge, he could have abused his power in order to be able to do all of that, to be able to do that. And the wider conversation is that she was just walking home. She was just walking home. And this has sparked a lot of conversation online on Twitter and Instagram about what women have to do in order to feel safe from getting from A to B. Whether it's holding the keys in the hand, wearing trainers so that they're able to run, getting cabs instead of public transport, because it's just safer to be dropped right at your door as opposed to having to, be on public transport on your own or at night or whatever. Being on the phone so that someone always knows where you are. Wearing bright colours so that you're easily identified. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I kind of feel like a lot of women, have to go through this thought process, and it's not fair. The fact that, like, we have to do this just to be safe from predatory men. because that's who we're fearful of, predatory men. And there was a lot of backlash from some men. There's now a trending hashtag called Not All Men. And I'm pissed about that hashtag.
Okay. I'm
pissed because this isn't the time for not all men. This is not the time for hashtag not all men. I don't want to hear it. Because let me tell you something. Every man has someone in their phone book. Every man has someone that they know, who harasses women. You know someone who has, in front of all his mates, called out a girl or has taken something a bit too far in order to look like some big old I am in front of his boys or whatever. Someone in your phone book who has crossed the line. So instead of you to be running up on Twitter talk about not all men, how about you check your friends? How about you start saying to your friends, listen, man, like all this sort of doing the most when it comes to women, that needs to stop. I don't want to hear about no hashtag not all men. This is not the time. Because let me tell you something. Listen to what women are saying. Women are having to do all of these things in order to protect ourselves from men. We don't need to hear about, I don't do that. No, but you know someone who does. The UN Women's Survey report says that 97% of young women have been sexually harassed. 97% of women. You might as well say 100% of women. I actually think it's 100% of women at this point and that is a figure that doesn't make any sense to me. That's too high. So I'm not interested in hashtag not all men. I don't give a fuck. Because at the end of the day, you know someone who sexually harasses women. Before you start coming around and talk about not all men, how about you go and check your dusty ass creepy friends?
The thing is, what's hard is sometimes you need to be very careful with things that you say, okay? Because you can't always paint everybody with the same brush, okay? So when people say not all men, I understand not all men do it. However, sometimes there's a time and a place to do a hashtag. Right. And obviously, this is not the time.
This isn't the time. That's all I'm saying.
This is not the time right now with everything that's going on. Yeah. However, I do agree that it's not all men.
Look, I know loads of men who ain't sexual harassers. Men in my family, men that I've grown up with. That I know wouldn't dare do stuff like that. So I know that it's not all men. That just should not be amongst the conversation right now. Because how about it was a woman who was minding her own business who was taken by a man, kidnapped and killed. That is what's gone on right now. So look, women aren't stupid. We know that it's not every single, but all I'm saying is this isn't the time to incite yourself and make it about you and I don't do that.
Like in the same light, when is the timing ever right for things? You need to look at it that way. When is the timing ever right? Because at the end of the day, when people don't feel something, I think everybody's got a right to defend themselves. And when you make a massive statement about men like that, a lot of people are going to get their back up and want to defend it.
They can defend it. But this is all I'm saying is this ain't the time. I kind of feel like I just said, some people know people who do it. Have you spoken to why is that person so comfortable doing these things in front of you? Because you have not said anything. This isn't the time for you to say, well, I don't do it. It's the time for you to check the people that do.
The thing is, you can't try and explain something to people that don't understand. This is my thing. My thing is you speak about people that may have friends that do it, but if they don't see nothing wrong with it, it's very hard to try and explain to someone, especially like, for example, when you're trying to explain to someone that's racist why what happened to you is racist and they don't understand it, they're never going to understand.
That's not true. They are going to understand. They just don't want to understand. They don't want to be educated.
Okay,
how can you not want to understand when a woman is being sexually harassed?
Because they don't. So
this is an excuse. I'm not just going to be like, oh, okay.
Let me give you an example. So you know how we're still talking about that night about the London Bridge thing when the guy followed me home? one day I pulled the guy up that I was looking to help me. And I said, such and such, why did you not help me that night when I was looking at you, when you asked me, am I all right?
Yeah.
And you didn't help me, I said to him. He goes, well, I didn't think anything was wrong. I said, look.
But that's because you said everything wasn't. That's because that's because you didn't say anything was wrong.
But the way I was looking at you, my eyes were wide open, my body language was completely different from how I usually. He was like, yeah. He goes, but I just thought, you know, he's just chatting you up, innit? I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
So did you walk away from that going, oh, okay, he just doesn't get it?
Yeah. No, wait. I'm just trying to explain to you what I'm trying to do is trying to use an example of people that don't understand what harassment is. That he never saw anything wrong with this guy following me. I said, look, he followed me all the way from London Bridge. Yeah.
How was he going to know that from you opening your eyes?
No, listen, my body sometimes. Okay, let me tell you something. When you look now in the media, yeah, what people are saying now is to be vigilant of people's body language, yeah? So you may be being kidnapped by someone, yeah? There's certain things that you should be aware of, yeah? That's what people are trying to say. That it's very hard sometimes to say that this person is taking you away against your own will, but they may show signs. I show signs of someone that clearly did not look like the same Louanne that you talk to on a regular basis. So me with my eyes open wide and my hands, you know, not acting normal when I'm acting a bit shifty and stuff, yeah? You as a man that's known me and grown up with me shouldn't something of click that rah, yeah? You know, you could have delved deeper and been like, rah, like, and said something along the lines of, are you walking back or do you want me to wait for you? Like, there's been times when people will say, do you want me to wait for you or something like that, even if they don't want to intervene. Yeah, you could have done something. You've grown up with me. But like I said, when I've had the conversation with him, he's told me he didn't see nothing wrong. He's just saw it.
Yeah, and he probably, like it was just chapsing. It was just chapsing.
I didn't see nothing wrong with him following me all the way from London Bridge.
Oh my God. Yeah. But the fact that you finally explained to him.
Yeah. And then, on top of it, I don't want to name any names, someone else chimes in, another man, and says, well, at the end of the day, yeah, Louanne, you're a big woman. You should know how to tell a man that you're not interested. And why should we have to get involved?
A lot of this still happens. A lot of this still happens in this day. A lot of that still happens. You know, some guys actually don't... Look, their intention is not to harass you.
Yeah.
That isn't what their intention is. And I understand that. But then if a multiple of people are explaining, actually, this is a form of harassment because it's not invited, it was not reciprocated, but yet you persisted. If I'm giving you that lesson and you choose to ignore it because you knew that your intention wasn't to harass me, you know, you're not going to learn. Yeah. But I'm not going to use that as an excuse for me that, it's just ignorant. No. Because now you're complicit. So this isn't the time for you to say, well, I didn't think... This is the time for you to check yourself and check your friends.
I think what people should do in situations like this that happen is, instead of going back and forth online and talking whatever you're talking,
just listen to women.
Sometimes just join the movement, innit?
Exactly.
If you don't agree with something, just join the movement.
Or stay quiet. Or just stay quiet. 97% of young women have been sexually harassed. That is enough for you to stay quiet. That is enough for you to start really thinking about things carefully and be like, shit, am I amongst that percentage? Shit, do I know anybody who is contributing to this percentage? That's the time to just stop and think. Not to be talking about not all men. I don't want to hear it right now. A woman who was just going from A to B was taken and murdered. This isn't the time. And that's all I'm saying. I know not all men do this. I know not all men are predators. But a lot are. Too many are. The fact that universally women have to go through these lengths, you know, this isn't something that we've got some secret society. This is just what's instilled in all of us in order for us to feel safe amongst men. That is it. Baroness Jones from the Green Party came out and said, do you know what? There should be a curfew. All men should be at home 6 p.m.
Yeah,
and I loved that. I did not think she was being serious, but I loved it. I loved the fact that she wasn't encouraging women to stay at home at night just to be safer. No. She was saying, men need to be sitting in their yard at 6 p.m. She wasn't being serious, but I got where she was coming from. And I would have been here for that shit. If men had to stay at home at 6 p.m., mate, I'd be out doing all sorts and feeling free and liberated and not looking over my shoulder thinking I'm about to be attacked. You know, there was this poll online and someone asked, if there were no men around for 24 hours, what would you do? So many women were like, I would be out without any fear. I would wear the shortest skirt and tightest top and feel liberated because of the... But what shocked me was literally, that was damn near every woman's response. Over 1 million something response. And that was every woman's response. I wouldn't fear men. I wouldn't think twice about this because men are... And it was mad.
Do you know what I find mad about what you're saying?
What?
I find it mad because is this really how people are living? That they're that fearful? What of men? Because this is just my story. Yeah. This is just me. I've already showed you one thing that I seen as harassment when I was a young teen. Which is harassment. Yeah. I've showed you a second thing. Yeah. Which
that's harassment as well.
Harassment, but only because you spoke about, catcalling, and I delved deeper and it made me think of that example. However, when I get dressed in the morning, or when I get dressed in the summer, for example, and I see them batty riders or that short denim skirt, I don't ever think twice that, if I put this on, this means this is going to happen to me. I've never felt that way, and I'm going to be honest with you. Now, I'm not trying to knock anybody's story, and I'm not trying to make people feel away, innit? Because everybody's got a story, and everybody's got the right to feel the way they feel.
So if you wore batty riders and you was going to Brixton Market, you wouldn't think that you would get attention?
I would get attention, yes. However, the attention that I would get wouldn't be on the basis that I feel harassed. It would be the attention that I know I would get if I've put on that batty riders and then that skirt. I think to me, it just feels...
So you think you're inviting harassment by wearing it?
No, but the thing is, I don't see it as harassment. If a guy looks at me and he goes, you're looking nice today. Usually, in the summer when you put on a skirt or something, they'll be like, hello, excuse me, miss, can I talk to you? Or something like that. It's down to you if you want to talk to them or not, But I haven't had that experience yet where a man has made me ever feel uncomfortable with what
you're lucky. You are lucky.
I've never had that experience, but I don't doubt what everybody's saying because that's other people's experience. But this is my experience personally. I've never had that.
Trust and believe me, you are lucky, because walking around with fear of stuff like that, because I might wear a little short thing, but and I should feel, because I can wear what I want and I want to go out and be able to feel like I can do what the hell I want. Do you know what I mean? Without fear of a predator taking things too far, following me, not accepting my no as a response. Do you know what I mean? I should be able to live the hell out, wear what I want, do what I want without fear of a predator taking things too far. So trust me, that's a good feeling to have. Me, no. If I'm going out and I know it's late and I'm going to a motive and I want to wear this, whatever, I'm either not going to be alone. If I'm going to be alone, I'm going to take a cab or a car, in order for me to sort of be a bit more safer, as opposed to taking the train, where I could be easily followed and things like that. I'm going to take those calculated risks because we're not living in a in a world where predators don't always, think of an opportunity and try to take it. Do you know what I mean? So my thought process is completely different, and I have to take those sort of calculated sort of like actions just to get from A to B safely. And it's unfortunate, but it is kind of the world we're living in. So rest in peace, Sarah Everard. That whole story is very chilling. It's still going on, and it's like, I definitely look forward to hearing all the details, every single detail. I hope they get as much information from when she left that house to, when he took her all the way to Kent in the middle of the woodlands. So I'm going to be watching this story very closely. But thank you for coming onto the pod. This has been a heavy conversation, but a very necessary conversation.
Definitely.
And I look forward to having more episodes. Me and Louanne are going to be starting a pod.
Yeah.
I thought of a few new names, actually.
That's cool.
I want to tell you about this after. But look out for our new podcast. It's definitely going to be one to listen to, especially judging from this one. But follow me on all my socials, and I'll be back on the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye.